West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't understand why this is an issue.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Seven a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson. Jeff Crank's going to join us, congressman from the 5th Congressional District. That's Colorado Springs area. So representing the good people down there. Why is the government continuing to be shut down? Is it all his fault? How about the Republicans? Donald Trump? Democrats? Is it Schumer shuts down? Who do you blame for this as it continues? We'll talk directly to a member of Congress, get some insight on that you're not going to want to miss. Now is time for news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Thursday morning. 39 and mostly cloudy outside. Expecting a high of 69 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, DeCarlos Brown Jr., the man who murdered Irina Zarutska, stabbed in cold blood, seen on video on the train in Charlotte. Brown Jr. has been federally indicted and is likely to face the death penalty. The FBI announcing a reward for information on the attempted pipe bombing in D.C. in 2021. Remember that? Outside the DNC and RNC headquarters. So weird. A night before J6. How did that all happen? A $500,000 reward is being offered. I wonder if the previous administration will call. It's now day 23 of the Schumer shutdown, and Michael Bennet of Colorado continues to build off the drama. The Senate failed for the 12th time to pass a funding bill that would end it.
That after a 22-hour-long speech by Oregon Democrat Jeff Merkley, who said President Trump's authoritarianism was the biggest threat to the republic since the Civil War. Another Democrat, Michael Bennet, said health care subsidies are going to have to be addressed by Republicans or else insurance premiums on the health exchanges will skyrocket, calling out Republican Majority Whip John Barrasso.
Why he wants to cut their health care subsidies so that it's even more unaffordable for people in Wyoming or Colorado to buy health care, I can't possibly understand.
While in the House, Republican Speaker Mike Johnson continues to blame Democrats for the shutdown. I'm Scott Carr in Washington.
Suspects in a complex crime ring operating all over the area. Now one step closer to facing justice. 20th Judicial District Attorney Michael Doherty says a grand jury has indicted 6 people in the crime ring and 5 arrested.
They were breaking into cars and then using stolen cars to commit other crimes. And in some of these cars, they found garage door openers, and they would use those garage door openers to then break into people's garages.
Doherty says this crime ring was responsible for 190 open cases. Former Press Secretary Jen Psaki, remember her with the silent P, remembers. That's the way she spelled her last name. Remember her? Well, that knucklehead, she said that VP... Back. Circle back, Psaki. Circle it back. She says that VP JD's wife needed to be saved from Vance. Here's JD.
Oh, my God.
Former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki made some comments suggesting that your wife, the second lady, needed to be saved from you. How do you feel about comments like that being made while you're here with the second lady?
Oh, I think it's disgraceful, but of course the second lady can speak for herself. And I'm very lucky to have a wonderful wife. And I know, or at least I hope that my wife feels the same about me. But we are very lucky to have this journey or I should say I'm very lucky to go on this journey with a very loving wife. We're going to keep on serving the country together, and I'm honored to have Usha by my side on this trip in particular, but always.
Jen Psaki. DJ
By the way, Matt Taibbi has a brutal takedown of Corinne Jean-Pierre's new book.
Oh, man, I heard about that.
Whoa!
I didn't read it.
Yeah, it's in his Substack. It definitely worth subscribing. And look,
Definitely.
I've been on a journey with Matt Taibbi. In the Bush years, I thought, when he was writing for Rolling Stone, I thought this guy was a total joke. Now I'm like, oh, wow, I actually enjoy, I've come around.
Right, absolutely.
But his takedown of Corinne Jean-Pierre's book.
Oh, I have to read that.
The fact that the logic just doesn't work through her book.
Yeah.
So she, on one hand, blames the Democrat Party for sabotaging Kamala Harris's campaign. Like that's why she's not a Democrat anymore. She's an independent because they don't treat black women well. And then Matt's like, you were a black lesbian woman, and we celebrated you. Like it doesn't make much sense throughout the book. And then she never takes any accountability for Biden's decline. And he rips into Jake Tapper, too, and the whole media that covered up, now wants to claim and run out there that they're these great truth tellers. Give me a break.
Yep. Oh, I've got to read that. I'm glad you reminded me. DJT says that he's suspending all military aid to Colombia due to its alleged role in the alleged drug trade. 47 called Colombian President Gustavo Petro a very bad guy who's making lots of drugs and said he'd better watch out or he'll take very serious action against him. Of course, Petro said he'd use American lawyers to sue DJT, and there are plenty out there that would take the work. On the subject of narco-terrorists, another drug boat goes down, Marco Rubio.
Well, I mean, the question is, bottom line, these are drug boats. If people want to stop seeing drug boats blow up, stop sending drugs to the United States.
Yeah, stop.
100%, dude. We're going to get into this later. I love it.
Yes. Let's go. Hey, Dollar Store Obama. Here's what he has to say this morning about the demolition, by the way.
It will, and these people are going to be held accountable. No matter how long it takes. That's going to be the reality of the situation, and that's our warning to all of these people participating in this scheming to manipulate taxpayer dollars and, of course, to destroy the people's house. The White House belongs to the American people. It doesn't belong to Donald Trump.
Well, Trump's paying for it and a lot of donors.
Golly.
Can you believe that
me?
guy?
These guys get angry about tax. First of all, there's not taxpayer dollars. Even if there was, I wouldn't care that much because these are the same people that wanted to send your hard-earned dollar to some other country, to some person who's had 12 kids and can't figure out how to use birth control. I mean, the fact
transgender surgery all over the world.
No problem sending your dollars to do that.
Exactly.
But, God forbid we update the White House.
Trump Jr. Actually has a good little comment here.
The Democrats freaking out about it is absolutely insane. I think the greatest irony that I saw in all of this was Hillary Clinton talking about it being the people's house. Hillary Clinton, who with her husband literally had to return furniture and silverware that they stole from the White House. That was actually the property of the people. They took it with them after their term. They had to return it because people caught them stealing the furniture. You know, she's the one that's leading the charge complaining about this thing. It's absolutely nuts.
Yes, it is. I agree. Crazy. And then it gets nuttier again. Guess what? In California, they've created a master ice tracker to tell illegal criminals when and where ice is coming.
I shared this with the mayor. Over the course of the next couple of weeks, the Oversight Committee will be launching on their website a master ice tracker where we're going to be essentially tracking every single instance that we can verify that the community will be able to send us information on.
That is so nice of Robert Garcia. Looking out for the people.
Always criminals first.
Right.
And we're going to get into this on the flock camera stuff, too.
Oh, I can't wait. Always. It's just amazing. Nuggets tip off the NBA season tonight at Golden State. Avs play host to the Hurricanes this evening. In Lodo, hockey in Lodo tonight. 37 in Parker, 38 in Lakewood, 39 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Expect another good-looking day here in Denver and along the Front Range with sunny to partly sunny skies, light winds, and a beautiful October day. Temperatures will be well into the 60s up to near 70 degrees. Lows tonight near 40. Becoming cloudy Thursday. Thursday and Thursday evening, a chance of showers. Highs mid to upper 60s Thursday. Showers ending Thursday night. Lows in a low to mid 40s. A little cooler Friday, a high near 60. Back to the mid to upper 60s and partly cloudy for Saturday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're going to talk with Representative Jeff Crank here in just a minute. Let's talk losing your hair. You need a simple solution that works. You want the best. Modern technology with top-rated physicians. Something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need Dr. Tanya Pauls and her team at Advanced Hair. They've completely redefined hair restoration from the experience itself to their unmatched results. You got a receding hairline, bald spot, thinning hair. Address them all with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of these breakthrough treatments, and get this, your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. No one in Denver can offer anything like the advanced FUE found at Advanced Hair. I highly recommend their team. It starts with your free consultation. Give them a call, 720-459-HAIR, 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll also get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Refine your hairline with the team that's redefined hair restoration. 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. 720-459-HAIR, advancedhair.com. White House government shutdown clock reads 22 days, 9 hours, 12 minutes, 52, 53, 54 seconds. Now, I'll admit I was wrong. I thought this thing was going to last 4 days. 22 days?
Yeah, my guess was
Whoa.
14. Yeah. So I'm under on that one, and I thought I was being generous. Yeah, I'm surprised on this one.
This thing keeps going. Who do you blame for it? Is it the Republicans' fault? Well, we're going straight to the Republican House of Representatives to see if they're the ones to blame. Joining us now is Congressman Jeff Crank, representing the good people of Colorado Springs. Good morning, Congressman.
Morning.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Bill. How are you guys?
We're good.
Yeah,
are you
good.
the one to blame for this shutdown, Congressman?
Yeah, why'd you do this?
Well, I'm one of the guys that voted to keep the government open. So the vote that I've cast was to keep it open. You might want to blame the folks that have voted 12 times to keep it closed.
Yeah, that's what it seems to me to be pretty clear here. They want to leverage. They say that they're going to leverage the shutdown in order to address Obamacare issues. Well, that seems to be you then. Democrats are the ones keeping this shutdown going as leverage. What say you, Representative Jeff Crank?
Well, yeah, and who are they using as leverage? It's not a government shutdown that they're using as leverage. It's the men and women who serve us on Navy ships around the world. It's our military personnel. It's our air traffic controllers, our ICE agents, our TSA agents. I mean, it's all of these folks that are doing their job, keep on working. I have a son-in-law who's a Fort Carson soldier. He's deployed right now to Korea. And, you know, the morning of the paycheck last time where the president was able to find $9 billion to pay our soldiers, he and I talked. I said, just check your bank account, make sure it's in there. That's embarrassing that when we have a soldier serving our country in Korea away from their family, and we have millions of these folks that are out there serving our country, and, you know, the government's out worrying about these kinds of things. Look, we can talk about health care. We can talk about all of these things. And by the way, it's not just these enhanced premium tax credits that the Democrats are doing. If you look at what they originally filed as their alternative continuing resolution, it was $1.5 trillion of new spending to include things like health care for illegals, restoring all the funding to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a repeal of all of the Medicaid provisions that passed with a majority of the House and Senate and signed by the president. So this is them leveraging this. But again, they're not leveraging a shutdown. They're leveraging the men and women who serve us as civil servants and as U.S. military.
Have they adjusted their original proposal at this point? Is it just extended Obamacare subsidies that is the issue here? And why not just vote on those?
Well, that's a really good question. Why not just take yes for an answer? Because John Thune told Senate Democrats, let's just open the government. I'll give you a date that we can vote on these healthcare the enhanced premium tax credits. That wasn't good enough. So I don't know what it is. You'd have to ask them. I'm not the one that's in charge of the shutdown. It's them. And so I don't get it. I don't understand it. And again, we can talk about all these things. When you talk about people suffering, are these enhanced premium tax credits being dealt with? No. We're not dealing with them right now because we're dealing with the government shutdown. Once you get that out of the way, we can talk about these other things.
That's Representative Jeff Crank. He represents the good people of Colorado Springs in Congress. So typically in the past, sometimes during these shutdowns, you'll get like a working group, a gang of 9 that'll try to come together to negotiate something. Are you seeing any of that? Are there Republicans, Democrats trying to figure this out? Or is this entrenched and going to continue from your perspective?
Well, I don't see, again, the whole roadblock is in the Senate, really. Obviously, we had the votes to get this passed in the House. There are some folks, Jeff Hurd is one of those, I think, who has said, well, he'd be supportive of extending these tax credits. I don't know if that's enough to break this because, again, I don't know that that's what this is actually about. I would make the argument what it's about is, Mom Donnie and that wing of the party in New York kind of holding Chuck Schumer hostage. He knows that AOC is looking at primarying him. You saw John Ossoff basically say, he's the senator from Georgia, that, look, if he votes to open the government, the money stops flowing. These folks that are doing online fundraising, they're raising a ton of money right now, sending out emails saying, we're holding firm, we're standing and fighting for people. And so I think they're raising money on that. But look, John Ossoff and others have to realize he represents a bunch of soldiers at Fort Benning and many other places. I mean, that's who this is about. Let's get them paid and let's get the government reopened. Then we can have this discussion. Republicans got burned. They tried this in the 90s, and they got burned every time. Democrats are going to get burned on it. We're all going to get burned. But the ones who get burned the most, of course, are our military and civil servants.
That's Jeff Crank representing Congressional District 5. Progressives are saying you don't need 60 in the Senate. Deep Singh Badesha tweeting out 3 hours ago, you only need 50 votes plus the VP as a tiebreaker to pass anything. The 60 vote thing is made up fake rule. Your response?
Well, first of all, I'm not in the Senate, but look, here's the problem. We all know that if Republicans were to break the filibuster threshold of 60, which I'm not in favor of us breaking that, right? If we were to break that for this, what would the Democrats break it for? Would they break it to allow Puerto Rico to become a state and D.C. so that they can get 4 new Democrat United States senators and never allow a Republican majority ever again? I mean, there's so many reasons why it's a bad idea. The filibuster was put in for a reason. It's a safety valve, and it's protected our rights in many cases, I think, throughout the years. So I'm not a fan of doing it. Look, if Democrats want to withhold paychecks and they want to withhold WIC payments and SNAP benefits to people because they're going to vote for a 13th or 14th or 15th time to keep the government open, I guess that's what they're going to have to do. But I voted to keep it open. And here's a stat for you. 99% of Republicans in the House and Senate have voted to keep the government open. 99% of Democrats have voted to close the government. It's just simple. These are simple numbers and truths.
Would your recommendation at this point to Coloradans to send a message to Michael Bennet and John Hickenlooper? That's the problem. Look, you want to debate Obamacare subsidies? That's going to come. If it's that important, of course, it'll be a very important debate. But at this point, the buck stops with Hickenlooper and Bennett, and Coloradans need to be messaging them to get this government back open. Is that your message today?
Yeah, my message is call Senator Hickenlooper and call Senator Bennett. Tell them to stop playing games and to represent the men and women who serve us in the military, the TSA agents at DIA who they walk past every day after having voted against funding them. I mean, that's exactly right. Pick up the phone, call Senator Bennett, call Senator Hickenlooper. This ends. I pointed this out yesterday. Colorado is 40% of the problem right here because we have two Democrat United States senators who refuse to vote to keep the government open. We need 5 votes. That's all we need. You know, we've been getting 55 votes in the Senate to get this open because you got Fetterman and Cortez Masto from Nevada who've joined with Angus King, the independent, and we're typically getting 55 votes. So we need 5 more. So 2 out of 5 is 40%. 40% of the reason the government is closed down right now is we can't get those 5 votes are 2 from Colorado. If they would do it, they'd be leaders. There'd be others who'd follow, and people would get their benefits.
That voice is Jeff Crank, representative from CD5, joining Jeff and Bill Live. We're talking about the government shutdown. I appreciate the response there. So let's say, what if the shoe was on the other foot? That the GOP was out of power, and like they had in recent years, we got a couple of examples just in the recent past, and they were threatening a government shutdown, and we even went that far. If the Dems came to you and said, if you reopen the government, we then will give you a vote on the issues that you want in the future, would you accept that deal?
Well, I think, Bill, if you look back, the Republicans, I wasn't in Congress at the time, but Republicans did accept that deal in the Biden years. I mean, they accepted it 13 times we did. We voted in a bipartisan way for a continuing resolution. It's something that I think Republicans learned after the 90s that it doesn't benefit them, and it certainly doesn't benefit anyone when you have a government shutdown. People get angry when it's being used that way. So, I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding. We've already done that. I just don't think this is a weapon that ever benefits a political party if you do the political calculation. Now, I think some Democrats think it might energize their base, and I'm sure that it does. But at what cost? I mean, at some point, you anger the middle because they elected us to go there and do business, not go there to not pay our military. So I think it's something that over time, politically, it's a loser, and sometimes it takes folks a little while to understand that.
Yeah, but in 2013, Ted Cruz helped lead a government shutdown based on trying to block the implementation of Obamacare and some of the subsidies. I mean, the idea that both parties have used this as a cudgel, to me, is ridiculous. I hate the idea of this type of brinksmanship, but I see it on both sides. When we were talking about the vaccine mandates, the Republicans used their same leverage with the government shutdown in order to exact some concessions. The same thing they did with immigration and other budgetary concessions over the previous decade. So this is not unusual to either party. Where I begin to have a little bit of pushback is when I hear either party complaining about it, because it seems like when you're out of power, this is the leverage. I remember talking to a GOP elected leader during the last proposed government shutdown when it was the Republicans, and I asked him, is this the time and place to enact this type of budget cut and spending constraints? And that person turned to me and said, this is the time we need to do it because we have the leverage. The leverage is the reason. And this train has been coming down the tracks for months. Everybody knew about the appropriations and the spending issues, but nobody there did anything about it. So in some ways, you guys knew that you were driving towards the wall, and now we're complaining that nobody bothered to turn on the turn signal and change lanes. I mean, isn't this just a pox on both your houses, to be fair?
Well,
crud. I didn't cut him off. I know people
you can see him,
that.
but
I know, I can't hear him.
But it stalled out.
Crap.
That was a good a good spot.
Damn
We'll see if he joins us here in a second.
Let's do this. How about you want to jump to break?
We got
Hey,
we got him.
oh my God! I'm so sorry.
You back.
I'm so sorry.
You froze there for a second.
I did not mute you. I didn't anything else. Can we return to the beginning of that because I want to hear what you had to say because I like how you think. So yeah, I'm so sorry. I did not hold button you. I just got to let everybody know that. Okay, go ahead.
That's okay. I'm sure you would never do that, Bill. Come on.
Just
of course,
not today.
nobody thinks you would do that. Not
today, sir. Maybe
Bill.
another day. We'll see what happens. Alrighty.
Today we're being nice to each other. That's right.
Yeah,
look,
today.
I admitted that to you, Bill. Republicans invented the government shutdown, right? They did when Newt Gingrich was the speaker. My point is they haven't used it recently. They could have used it in the Biden administration. I think they learned that it doesn't pay dividends to use it, because at the end of the day, you're the political party that gets blamed, right? If you are the one that shut it down, and in this case, it's the Democrats, and people know it. I mean, they can sit and say, well, I've heard Democrats use the excuse, well, you have a majority in both houses and the presidency. Why don't you get it open? They know that there's a 60 vote threshold in the Senate. The American people know that. The American people understand what's going on here. And I believe Democrats are going to pay a price for this at some point. So look, I totally agree that it's been used in the past. But I just think when you think about you're not paying soldiers, and in some cases it's been used for a short period of time, but we've got it resolved before we had soldiers missing paychecks on foreign soil. So that's the point. This thing's gone on way too long. They proved their point. They can come back now and open the government. But it's up to them. It's not up to us. What I tell folks, what more can I do? I voted to keep the government open. There's nothing more really that I can do. They haven't voted to keep it open. So if we want it open, it's on them.
Congressman Crank, I appreciate the answer. Now, I'm going to let you know because we are friends, and I consider you a friend. I got to admit to you, this next question is a loaded question, and I'm not certain it's entirely fair, but you've done the radio thing too, so I think you might have fun with this one. So, okay, here's what I want to ask you, sir. Back in 2011 and 2013, our current President Trump, not a candidate then or an office holder, said that it's not the fault of Congress, it's the fault of the president when the government shuts down. More recently, he says the fault of the current government shutdown is on the Democrats. So what I'm asking you, and I know it's not fair and it's a loaded question, was he wrong then or is he wrong now? Again, I apologize, but yeah, what do you think?
Wait a minute, Bill. I hit this button. I don't think I could hear you. I'm just kidding, Bill.
Yeah, it's like, psh, I'm going through a tunnel.
No. Well, listen, I think the president, people say things when they're running for office, and then when they're elected, they realize different things. I think the president was wrong. Look, Congress has an obligation. Many times, if this were the president directing this shutdown, then it would be his fault. But let's just be honest, that's not the case here. The president is working to get the government open. The Republicans in Congress are working to get it open. But even the Democrats now at least admit, 3 weeks into this thing, right, they at least admit that they're the ones that are kind of responsible for this. They're saying, well, we're kind of holding the process hostage. That's a win, and that's a win on the PR side, I think, for Republicans to get them to finally admit it. For 3 weeks, they were trying to blame Republicans for the shutdown, but the facts don't bear that out. We know who is responsible for this shutdown. It's the people who vote no on continuing resolutions to open the government up. So, I think to say it's always the president or it's always Congress, that doesn't even make sense. It depends on the situation. But in this situation, this president is not directing an effort to shut down the government. It's the Democrats.
Nice answer and really effective pivot there in the middle and then bring it back at the end of the same question. Well done, sir. Appreciate that. I love having you on.
You're welcome.
Representative Jeff Crank representing the good people of Colorado Springs. Let's talk Colorado Springs particular. Any update on Space Command, your work with the White House on that?
Well, one of the things that happens when the government shuts down is that you don't get a lot of meetings. I've been working hard to try and meet with folks over at the Air Force, Secretary of the Air Force and others, but they just can't do that generally during a government shutdown. So that's all kind of stalled out. We haven't made much progress on that. I continue to believe that we're going to have new things coming to Colorado because of Golden Dome. But, right now, any money that's sitting over at the Pentagon is probably the top priority of the president is to pay soldiers with it. It's not to fund Golden Dome and other things. And that's the real shame of this, is that we're losing time against our adversaries on many fronts. But no, we don't have any new information yet on Space Command.
We have a very competitive Republican primary for governor. Have you endorsed anybody yet?
I haven't. And, I have, as you know, we've had a little bit of rancor in the Republican Party. If you thought Democrats and Republicans like to fight, wait until you watch Republican on Republican warfare. And we've had that, as you know, Jeff, for a long time in the party. And I've decided that, I've got to be one of the leaders in the party. And in that, I'm trying to bring the factions that exist together and let them understand what I've done for a long time. I support the Republican no matter who they are when they win against a Democrat, because it's a numbers game. I'd rather have a Republican governor than a Democrat governor. And so for me, I have not endorsed anybody, but I am going to support whoever that nominee is. There's lots of candidates. Some of them have called me. Some haven't even called me. So, it's one of those things. I'm going to sit and wait, and unless I see some real compelling reason to jump in, I'm going to stay there supporting the Republican team.
That's Representative Jeff Crank, representing the people of Colorado Springs and Congress. You can follow him on X at Rep. Jeff Crank. Rep. Jeff Crank, in the midst of a crazy, wild government shutdown, taking time to join us. I hope this will get resolved and move forward, and we'll continue to check in and continue to update us as you see what news is coming from Washington, D.C. as well. Representative Crank, thank you for your time this morning.
Yes, thank you so much. You've been so generous. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jeff and Bill, thank you. And Bill, now you can take your finger off that button.
Thank you. I can make sure the signal's going to be clear from now on. I don't have to fiddle with the settings behind the scenes. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. See ya.
Representative Jeff Crank. All right, let's talk Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Caplis, the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who've been hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. Just winning a $200 million settlement for the family of the young girl that was killed in the Glenwood Springs Adventure Park accident. Incredible investigation, figuring out bad policies, and not only getting justice for the family, but improving the safety for all of us that take our kids to these types of amusement parks. Dan Caplis, a real winner. Give him a call if you need his help. Here's his phone number, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. All right, we'll continue. Who do you think's finally going to break here in this government shutdown? SNAP benefits will end November 1st. So now those that require food stamps won't be getting the payments. Jared Polis is stepping in to provide some funding, but that means that the budget deficit here in Colorado is going to grow. Who do you blame? Who needs to negotiate? Step up and figure out a way forward. Republicans, Democrats. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. I mean, Bill, in many ways, look, the divided government, the government shutdown reflects the state of America. I've heard people say we're two Americas fighting over the same land right now. Now you got a point where one side can essentially shut down the government, hold the other side accountable. Nobody seems to want to compromise here.
That's the weird part. We've talked about it before, where our government structure is fundamentally about compromise. That's what we should do. But that has been disincentivized, I believe, in our current political climate, that you're not supposed to, because anytime you give anything to the other side, it's viewed as a loss and a win for them. And since we've decided to look at the scoreboard, I think that's really, really problematic. And the number of government shutdowns, I'd forgotten, being, again, a little kid, I wasn't paying attention, but I'd forgotten there were a few government shutdowns under both Carter and Reagan, but there were only a couple of days each. So it's not as if this is brand new, but what is brand new is this threat every fiscal year. And what I find most frustrating about it is those who have the ability to make sure this doesn't happen are the exact same ones who are letting it or advocating for it to happen. And I mean either party. And I've seen either party out of power uses this as a form of brinksmanship and always comes to it and always tries to demand something, in part because those in power don't actually find a way to continue the appropriations and pass continuing resolutions and make sure the government's funded. So because one group that has the power can't do their job properly, the other group makes sure that we can't do our job properly. And then they turn around and say, I've got to go back to Congress and make sure that this broken thing is fixed. Here's the thing that I think is the biggest problem here. There are zero electoral consequences for shutting down the government for either party. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're in power, out of power. Doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican.
Because of that gerrymandering that takes place.
There's zero. And also, voters won't throw you out. I mean, even if the voters are unhappy, even if the voters in Michael Bennett's district are super unhappy, if he was running again, he'd get elected. Why? Because he has the D, not the R. So that's the issue. You can't sit here and complain about it when you're happy when your side does it. And so this is how we have decided our government is going to run. And it's atrocious. It's horrible.
It is interesting to me. Gabe texts in and brings out a good point on this. Okay, we're 38 trillion in debt, 37 trillion. Huge numbers,
let's
right?
talk about that. Wait, just for a sec. Pause there just for a second. I want you. We're 38 trillion, but we went from 37 trillion to 38 in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That's $1 trillion in debt in 4 weeks, not always attributable to government shutdown. So that's a little crazy based on the rising of the debt. So go ahead.
Look, I want to paint a broader picture here.
Yeah.
You have this massive debt problem. You essentially pass continuing resolutions that continue the debt, right? So we're not actually debating over what's in a spending bill. We just continue to fund what people debated a long time ago, right? Okay.
Yes. And debate over money we've already said we're going to spend, and then debating the fact that we agreed to spend it and then we don't want to spend it now. It's like running stuff up on your credit card and then arguing with the credit card that you didn't want to spend that money anyway.
But Bill, I went to this No Kings rally.
Yeah.
Okay. And everybody's like, we don't want a king. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want? We're like, do you want more power returned to the legislature? Right? Because they don't like the Supreme Court either. They think that's just, rubber stamp for Donald Trump. Okay, so you don't like Donald Trump. You don't like the Supreme Court. You want to hand more power to the legislature. Now, I would say that the founders set up this country so that most of the power would reside with the legislative branch.
Yeah.
Not the executive and not the judiciary. Okay? But these people, what you're watching right now, government shutdown. All these people compromised by lobbying operations and special interests and money pouring into their campaign. That group of 435 and then 100 in the Senate. Those are the people, just to the No Kings people, you want with the power right now to do government management.
Here's the thing. I would say yes. Yes, I want the legislator. I would actually agree that I want the legislative body to be in charge of the government management simply because I'm not a huge fan of group think per se, but get that larger body together. I think you have less of a chance to go down certain rabbit holes and to go into certain pet projects. And I know we have not done that in certain conditions and how we've gotten, budgets done. But I don't like the idea of the president being able to decide where we're going to spend the money. I don't like the idea of, where the president says these departments don't need to exist anymore. I don't like that, or even the idea that these laws and rules shouldn't even apply anymore. That I have a little bit of a problem with, because it seems that we are going closer and closer to an authoritarianism, and that worries me. That worries me deeply.
Well, it should. Yeah. It should, but part of what pushes that is a just radically dysfunctional legislative branch.
Yeah. But yeah, that's absolutely true. It's a truism. I cannot argue with that at all, my friend. That it is completely and totally dysfunctional. And they go back and they fundraise and they get reelected on the fact that it is dysfunctional. So they're helping create the dysfunction and then say, well, see, look at all the other work I got to do. Think about it this way. Okay. Listen to the Jeff and Bill show. How many politicians, I don't care if you voted for them or not, how many politicians have told you over the course of your voting lifetime that they're going to go to Washington and clean up the corruption? They're going to clean up the fraud. They're going to clean up the debt. They're going to clean up the wasteful spending. They're going to fight that swamp. And then somehow that theme comes back. Cycle after cycle after cycle. Nobody's cleaned it up. So should we trust them? But yet we vote them back in. So in some ways, this is a mess of our own making because we do not hold them responsible.
100%. Yeah. It was funny at the No Kings rally when I was like, they're going, No Kings. So I'm like, oh, you want a stronger legislative branch? And they're like, oh, yeah. Like they were like, well, here's the thing. They weren't quite ready to jump at that because they're like, oh, yeah. And then I was like, so you support Neil Gorsuch's decision in Chevron deference.
Great job on that.
And they really just were like, I'm sorry, are you speaking a foreign language?
Yeah, which again shows that very few of them had done the job of thinking more than 120 seconds about this issue, not having any idea about this. Here's the thing. You want to stop the government shutdown, you want to stop it almost nearly immediately, is what you do is first off, you start penalizing all members of Congress. You don't just suspend their pay, you start fining them. And what I mean by that is big fines. For every 5 days, they need to forfeit a quarter of their income, but this is in retroactively. You're going to be fined. So I'm going to start taking money out of your pocket. Then, if the government shut down, and we can debate what the date is, but I'm thinking 20 to 30 days. If the government shutdown lasts 20 to 30 days, none of you are eligible to run for re-election. None of you. And I don't care the party. None.
Quit bringing your reasonableness into this. See, I think that's totally never going to happen.
I think it's totally unreasonable, but I like that because I feel they're being unreasonable. And if we wanted to make them do something, then we have to find a way to hold them accountable. Yet we don't. We encourage it. Yeah, you want to see this thing reopen? Go right ahead and say after 30 days, this thing's still shut down. None of you can run for re-election. Yeah, this thing would be open in like 5 minutes. They would find remarkable agreements that they said they never could. Yeah.
Let's talk Gyrie's, folks. My wife and I recently visited the Gyrie's location in Parker. Let me tell you, it was an absolutely fantastic experience. We sat down with a professional designer. They showed us an incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters. Look, I'm a little overwhelmed at first, right? I'm not a home decor type of guy. But the designer was a pro. She walked us through everything. She answered all my wife's questions. I don't have questions. I'm just, my only question is how much it costs, right? And it's not that crazy. It is actually was very reasonable, and we've had a wonderful experience with working with them. They help us find the perfect options to enhance the look, functionality of our home. Whether your curtains are clashing or you just want a fresh look, Gyrie's has the solutions. Their designers are the experts. They help you with everything from window treatments to full room decor. Here's the best part. They offered a personalized in-home consultation. They'll come directly to you. They bring the samples. They bring the color samples. They bring laser measurement devices. It's amazing. So you can get the same expert advice right in your own home. Do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit Gyrie's.com to schedule your in-home consultation. That's GUIRYS.com. Go see the great people at Gyrie's. You'll be sure to thank me. All right, Billy and I will continue. Feel free to join the conversation. People texting in, I love it, Bill. That's exactly what we need.
That is. I thanks, Mom. I appreciate that, and I'll text you back later.
Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us at 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Text messages coming in. Tony saying, how about stop partisan gerrymandering? Congress is partially dysfunctional because candidates are getting to pick their voters and not the other way around.
What do you think about that? In theory, do you think that the party should be able to pick it, or do you think there should be some other body that should be responsible for deciding what those districts are? I'm just curious about your thoughts.
So
I know, probably not fair.
I kind of appreciate what Colorado did. Now, I walked through and I had friends that sat on that committee. And because by what metric do you draw the boundaries?
Yeah, good question. Good question.
That's what was debated during
what's
these.
The goal? Yeah.
During these panels, right? Is it socioeconomic? Right? We put rich people together, we put poor people together, and then we let them vote for Congress.
Is it more the idea of heritage? Is it more the idea of political affiliation?
Race,
is it,
or all that stuff? Or you just arbitrarily draw boundaries.
Yeah, and the idea of if you're looking for a 50-50 blend in every district of Republican, Democrat, does that mean if all of a sudden one county goes 56% one way or the other, you got to redraw the boundaries? What do you do?
Yeah, so it gets you can see how it gets complicated really quickly. But there's clearly gerrymander districts where
it's ridiculous.
Denver's a gerrymander district, okay? Yeah. It follows 225, goes out to Pena Boulevard, and then to make sure that DIA stays in Diana DeGette's district.
Yep.
So, it gets complicated pretty quickly, but I do kind of appreciate how Colorado's done it because, look, I'm a Republican in a deep blue state. I got 4 members of Congress, baby.
For me, I agree with Tony. The idea of letting the elected officials choose their voters, it's a little bit issue for me.
You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is 710 KNUS. We'll be right back.